100 Years of Solitude, a magical epic of family cycles and Latin American destiny. Chapter 1. From journalist to literary giant García Márquez's lonely journey. In a dusty, sun-scorched town called Aracataca in northern Colombia, Gabriel García Márquez spent his childhood. This quiet little place was surrounded by banana plantations and crumbling relics of colonial times. Born in 1927 to a struggling family, his father was a pharmacist often away, while his mother filled his ears with tales of family oddities and superstitions. As a young boy, García Márquez lived with his grandparents. His grandfather, a retired colonel, spun heroic tales of civil war, and his grandmother whispered mysterious stories of ghosts and omens. These early memories took root in his mind, eventually blossoming into the extraordinary flower of 100 Years of Solitude. His youth wasn't an easy ride. He dreamed of being a lawyer but dropped out of Bogotá University after a year to chase a career in journalism. As a reporter, he roamed the streets of Colombia, capturing the chaos of social unrest and the struggles of everyday people. In the 1950s, he wandered to Europe, where poverty hit hard. He even scavenged trash to survive. Yet those years of hardship opened his eyes to the turmoil and isolation of Latin America. In a rundown Paris hotel, he read Kafka's The Metamorphosis, a jolt that inspired him to weave the absurdities of reality into his writings. Then, in 1965, while driving in Mexico City, a vision struck him, a sprawling tale of a family across 7 generations. He pulled over, went home, locked himself away for 18 months, and crafted a masterpiece that would stun the world. García Márquez's work didn't come out of thin air. He once said, "Every story I've written comes from the legends I heard as a kid." The fictional town of Macondo was modeled after Aracataca, its rivers, banana trees, and sticky afternoons alive in his pages. The joys and sorrows of the Buendía family became his way of mirroring family fates and Latin American history. His years as a journalist sharpened his eye for detail, while the mystical air of his childhood fueled his wild imagination. Published in 1967, 100 Years of Solitude took the globe by storm, lifting García Márquez from a broke reporter to a Nobel Prize winner in 1982. His path of solitude was both a personal triumph and a reflection of the collective struggles of Latin America. Writing it was its own lonely odyssey. He later recalled those 18 months of near-total isolation, scribbling away for hours while his wife, Mercedes, handled everything, selling furniture to keep them afloat. When it was done, he mailed the manuscript to a publisher, but could only afford to send half due to postage costs. Luckily, fate stepped in. That half was enough to leave editors in awe, begging for the rest. The birth of 100 Years of Solitude marked García Márquez's victory of will and a deep gaze into the soul of Latin America. Chapter 2. The birth of Macondo, a family's starting line. 100 Years of Solitude opens with José Arcadio Buendía and his wife, Rosula, the founders of Macondo. They built this fictional yet vivid town from nothing. José was a restless dreamer, obsessed with alchemy and gadgets, eager to lead his people to a promised land. Rosula, practical and unyielding, was the rock holding everything together. They set out from Riohacha, trekking through mountains and rivers, until they settled by a clear stream and called it Macondo. At first, it was a paradise cut off from the world. No death, no rulers, just wooden shacks and innocent hopes. José embodied the spirit of human curiosity. He befriended a gypsy named Melku, hooked on his wild tales and strange inventions. He tried using magnets to hunt for gold, aimed a magnifying glass at the sun to spark fires, and studied the stars to glimpse the future. His home overflowed with oddities: telescopes, sextants, alchemy ovens. He once led his group towards the sea, only to get lost in the jungle, giving up with a sigh. The world's too new, so much still doesn't have a name. His passion slowly turned to loneliness. He began doubting his quests, even reality itself. One day, measuring the sun's height in the yard, he snapped his family tied him to a chestnut tree, where he lingered until death. His madness wasn't pointless. It was the clash of relentless discovery against a stubborn world. Razula was the family's heartbeat. She kept Macondo alive with her grits and smarts. She grew yucca and plantains, sold candies, and propped up the household. Her hands were rough but strong, her eyes fierce with resolve. She lived past 100, watching her family rise and crumble. She tried to rein in her husband's lunacy but couldn't stop his downfall. She raised her kids with care, yet they echoed their ancestors' mistakes. It is García Márquez's Mother Earth, a symbol of Latin American women enduring endless storms. Still, her strength couldn't halt the family's collapse. Macondo's founding was a spark of hope and the dawn of solitude. Josie's idealism crashed against Razula's realism, setting the Buendía family's fate in motion. The name Macondo came from a banana plantation García Márquez heard of as a kid. It's more than a place, it's a state of mind. Its creation carried human dreams but planted the seeds of isolation. Jose and Razula's union was love's fruit and tragedy's prelude. Their descendants would play out a saga of life and loss in this town, as Macondo slid from Eden to ruins. Chapter 3. 7 Generations: The Cycle of Solitude. The Buendía family's 7 generations repeat a haunting pattern, each life a unique twist on a shared doom. Their tale mirrors Latin America's history, full of fire, fighting, and fleeting moments. First up are Jose Arcadio Buendia's sons, Jose Arcadio and Aureliano. Jose Arcadio took after his dad's bold streak but chased physical thrills. Tall and wild, he hung out with gypsies from a young age. One day, he ran off with a gypsy girl, returning years later covered in tattoos, loaded with pirate loots. He married his adopted sister Remedios, but a fight ended with a bullet alone on the floor. Aureliano was quieter, drawn to Melchuade's room and his cryptic scrolls, a shy boy with a burning soul. He grew into Colonel Aureliano Buendia, leading 30 to civil wars, winning none. A dreamer, he fought to reshape the world, only to tire of power and retreat to his workshop, crafting tiny goldfish until he died. His solitude came from an unshakable inner void. Power couldn't fill it, nor could purpose. Next generation, there's Arcadio, Jose Arcadio's son. Raised by Razula, he turned bitter without a father's guidance. When the banana company rolled in, he seized control of Macondo, ruling with an iron fist, painting houses by force, shooting dissenters. His tyranny sparked a revolt. Rebels executed him in his 20s. His short life chased control but ended in lonely defeat. Aureliano's bastards met a grimmer end. In war, he fathered 17 sons with 17 women, each marked by a cross on their foreheads. They returned to Macondo as adults, only to be gunned down by banana company assassins in a single day, rivers of blood. This massacre wasn't just family tragedy, it screamed Latin America's colonial wounds. From the 3rd to 4th generations, the cycle sharpened. Aureliano's daughter, Remedios, called Remedios the Beauty, was a rare exception, stunning beyond words. Her looks drew suitors and death. Men died chasing her, oblivious to her innocence. One day, hanging sheets, she floated into the sky, the only Buendia to break free. Her solitude was her unearthly purity, alien to the world below. Arcadio Segundo, though, was a realist, pushing the banana company to lift Macondo until he saw the workers' slaughter. He hid away, lost in childhood candy shopping memories until his end. His loneliness stemmed from crushed dreams. 5th and 6th generations brought twins, Aureliano II and Jose Arcadio II, two sides of the family coin. Aureliano II, a burly hedonist, threw lavish parties and lived with his lover, Petra. Free spending and warm, the town adored him, but the banana company's exit drained his fortune. He died of throat cancer, alone in bed. Jose Arcadio II, thin and inward, saw the massacre and shut himself in, poring over Melchuade's scrolls. His solitude was helplessness against history. He sought answers but changed nothing. The seventh generation ends with Aureliano Babylonia, the last Buendía. He fell for his aunt Amaranta Razula, and they bore a child with a pig's tail, a mark of their forbidden bond. The baby died, eaten by ants, and as he decoded the scrolls, he learned the family's fate was sealed. A hurricane wiped Macondo away, and he faced death alone. 7 generations weave a tapestry of personal woes and a fable of human limits. Chapter 4. Shadows of Latin America. Macondo's rise and fall. Macondo isn't just a mad-up dot on a map, it's Latin America in miniature. García Márquez's magical realism blends the region's history, culture, and grits into a world that's both real and surreal. Macondo's early days echoed the colonial era. Jose Arcadio Buendia's crew carved a home from wilderness, much like Spanish settlers hitting the Americas. They felled trees, planted crops, battled nature, yet stayed cut off. That isolation mirrors Latin America's early disconnect from Europe. Native ways got crushed under newcomers, and Macondo's folks didn't even know death, a naive Eden, a colonizer's bubble. Jose's experiments nodded to Europe's Enlightenment hitting Latin soil, absurd without roots. Macondo's boom years reflect Latin America's late 19th and early 20th century rush. The banana company brought rails, lights, and modern perks. Macondo buzzed as a trading hub. Silk dresses and phonographs filled homes. But that shine rested on exploitation. Banana workers toiled under brutal sun for pennies, living in squalors. Their strike for better days ended in bullets, 3,000 dead, bodies dumped at sea. It's a page from the 1928 Colombian banana massacre. García Márquez writes of townsfolk forgetting it ever happened, a jab at Latin America's knack for burying horrors, a nod to foreign cash and local corruption. Macondo's downfall captures Latin America's modernization mess. The company left, and the town rotted, rails rusted, houses caved, people scattered. García Márquez paints it raw, streets choked with weeds, docks swept away, churches' bells silent. It's what happens when outside money pulls out Latin America, mined for centuries, then sidelined in global shifts. Macondo's arc blasts colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism's toll, while exposing homegrown rot. The family's wars echo Latin America's past too. Colonel Aureliano's 32 battles recall 19th-century independence fights and civil strife, Colombia's decades of liberal-conservative bloodshed. His ideals and flops mirror the region's rebels toppling old chains, only to tangle in new ones. Macondo's fate and the Buendia's loneliness braided into a mournful song of Latin American history. Chapter 4. The magic of magical realism, blending real and unreal. 100 Years of Solitude shines thanks to García Márquez's magical realism. It fuses the everyday with the fantastical, wild yet grounded, pulling listeners into a reflective trance. The book brims with strange wonders. Melchuade's scrolls, written in Sanskrit, foretold the Buendia century, unlocked only at the end. Remedios rises to the heavens, sheets flapping, a myth in Macondo's memory. Colonel Aureliano's goldfish, forged and melted in endless loops, stood for ceaseless cycles. These aren't just fantasies, they're Latin America's spirit. The region's folklore thrives on mysticism, ghosts, prophecies, miracles woven into life. García Márquez's grandmas were their househead spirits. He spun those yarns into his tale, breathing unique life into it. Magical realism's power lies in its real-world roots. The banana massacre's eerie telling, exaggerated yet true, mirrors its aftermath. Blood rivers and vanishing trains meet official denials of calm. It's Latin America's reality, violence and cover-ups collide, truth buried. He once said, in Latin America, reality stranger than fiction. His reporter days showed him massacres and dictator quirks fodder for his pen. The style's charm is its vivid grit. Remedios' ascent comes with wind-tugging sheets, sunlight glinting, neighbors gawk as she fades. Aureliano's fishmaking is meticulous, hammering gold, tweaking with tweezers, day after day. That detail makes the unreal feel close, like it's unfolding now. Magical realism gives the story wings beyond borders. Solitude isn't just the Bund as curse, it's everyone's. From Macondo's locals to listeners worldwide, the magic strikes a chord. García Márquez cloaks raw truth in fantasy, making 100 Years of Solitude a global treasure. It's not just a Latin American epic, it's a mirror for all humanity. Chapter 6. The Heart of Solitude, a universal human riddle. At its core, 100 Years of Solitude wrestles with loneliness. García Márquez traces its many shades through the Bund as 7 generations. First, solitude springs from walls between people. The family barely connects. Jose Arcadio Buendía tinkers with gadgets while Razula runs the house, no words pass between them. Colonel Aureliano loses his soul in war, left with goldfish as company. He fought to bond through battle, only to drift from troops, kin, even himself. Amaranta spurns love, dying a virgin. She adored Pietro but let pride and fear win, sewing her shroud alone. Their isolation isn't forced, it's self-made. García Márquez shows how humans drift apart, even in closeness. Next, solitude's the price of power and cravings. Colonel Aureliano chased revolution, commanding armies, but victory left him hollow. Signing peace, he saw war's futility, 30 to fights for nothing but weariness. Back in Macondo, he shut out the world, crafting fish to patch his emptiness. Jose Arcadio Segundo chased riches and revelry parties and gold piles, yet died solo in a mansion after his wife passed. No one shared his hoard. García Márquez hints that chasing outward winds blinds us to inner needs, deepening our aloneness. Solitude ties to the family's taboo too. Aureliano Babylonia and his aunt, Amaranta Razula, found love in a crumbling house, seeking closeness against the void. Their pigtailed children marked their sin's curse. Ants devoured it, and she bled out post-birth. Aureliano, cracking the scrolls in despair, saw their doom written. His loneliness was personal and ancestral, a final echo. Lastly, solitude's a wheel that keeps turning. Names like Jose Arcadio and Aureliano repeat, each generation shadowed by the last. Melchuade's prophecy locked their ends, escape was a myth. That fated loop makes loneliness a chain, like the hurricane erasing Macondo into nothing. García Márquez probes time's cruelty and human frailty through this spin. But he doesn't paint solitude as pure gloom. He once told an interviewer, loneliness isn't despair, it's a way of being. Every Bund hunts meaning in it. Jose probes the unknown with science, Aureliano battles for ideals, Razula holds the family with toil. They fall, but their fight glows with human sparks. Solitude's an eternal puzzle, it makes us ponder life and push on through chaos. Chapter 7. Symbols unraveled, the scrolls and goldfish. In 100 Years of Solitude, the scrolls and goldfish thread through the story, more than props, their solitude and fate distilled. Melchuade's scrolls, scrawled in Sanskrit, chart the Bund century. They haunt every generation, unreadable. Jose Arcadio Buendía hunts their secrets with alchemy, losing his mind. Colonel Aureliano skims them, too busy to dig. Jose Arcadio Segundo obsesses in hiding, catching scraps. Only Aureliano Babylonia, at the end, cracks their truth. The scrolls stand for fate's mystery and grip. Their prophecy and loneliness's source. Chasing their meaning pulls the family from reality, swallowed by destiny. García Márquez suggests humans' wit bows to the inevitable. The goldfish are Colonel Aureliano's creation. In old age, he crafts them in his workshop tiny, perfect, then melts them down to start again. They're his lifeline and solitude's shape. Each fish glimmers identical, useless. He tried selling them, nobody bought them, so he gave them away. Making them dodges war's scars and hunts life's point in vain. The fish mirrors the family's loops and emptiness, pretty struggles that fade to dust. These symbols weave the tale tighter, amplifying its loneliness. The scrolls are fate's hands, the fish, inner wrestles. Together, they frame the book's soul, humans teetering between doom and self, never breaking free. Chapter 8. Closing thoughts. A century of solitude, a century of lessons. 100 Years of Solitude is an epic of family, history, and the human condition. The Buendia's 7-generation rise and fall tied into Latin America's 100-year dance, spun with magical realism's blend of the bizarre and true. García Márquez shows history isn't a straight climb but a circle of stumbles and strife. Humanity's not just good or bad, it's a messy mix of light and dark. Macondo's Wipeout isn't the end, it's a wake-up call. It warns that without facing solitude's roots or breaking fate's grip, we're stuck repeating. The Buendias faltered, trapped in themselves, cut off from others. In their small world, loneliness caged them. Yet García Márquez offers a spark. Solitude's certain, but understanding and effort might crack a window. This story's brilliance is its reach beyond Latin America to all of us. It reflects our own lives in its magic, urging us to weigh existence amid the family's spins. The scroll's predictions and fish's rounds double tap fate and humanity's core. 100 Years of Solitude is the Buendia's lot and our own looking glass. It says loneliness isn't the terror, losing hope in it is. García Márquez lights a torch with his words, guiding us through the dark to keep moving.